One thing that I did this year that was really good was this Perfect Storm effects box, and it's basically an electronic box that has 1,000 watts on it, and so it could run, I guess, 1,000 watts worth of light is what I think. So what I'm using here is 100 watt lights that are LED lights, and sort of like a standard bulb, but it's actually LED inside. And even though it's 100 watts worth of light output, it's only using 13 watts. So I have 4 of those, so I'm hardly even touching the 1,000 watt potential of this amplifier electronics box. Another good thing is to put in little loops right here and hook so that you can get access to different areas real fast, but of course you want to crowd control everyone else. Now, one thing that's really good is to put in exits. Basically they're fire exits, and you put a little sign inside you can get from Lowe's that says exit and everything. The one problem with it is that people go through part of the maze and then they come flying out the exit and they're like, I'm done. You gotta tell people not to walk out these exits, and you're supposed to keep going. The other thing that was strange is that people walked by this entire building and would just go walking off this direction. And I'm like, you're supposed to go in that building. I'd have to kind of crowd control people into the building and be like, no, go into the building. And they'd be like, what? So I don't know, people get really lost. But if you just have everything crowd control roped, where they go all the way in and they go all the way out, that's a really good way to get people to do what you want. But at the same time, you don't have any kind of fire exits, or if people get freaked out and they have little kids that start crying and they just want them to leave, you want to leave plenty of ways for people to get out. So for instance, this really doesn't force people to go into this building and they start taking off this direction, but I don't know, I thought it was pretty obvious. But anyways, it's nice because you don't want people trapped and having to go through the whole thing. Sometimes people actually just don't want to, or they get freaked out or something. The thing that you do have to do is just kind of stand right here when you see them come in and hustle them into there. And then down this way, people come out and they think, well, that's the end of it. And I kind of have to hustle them into this building and say, no, it's over at the corner. And I don't know, people get really confused about it. Now, also right here is a sort of alternative area to explore, but the real direction that they're supposed to go is through this fence maze and then into the rest of the maze. That's more of a fire exit. It also returns from an alternative path that they can check out. But yeah, people get pretty confused about it. Now right here is the part where you come out and you're supposed to see all these graves and this little tree and everything. And then really you could just go back in and start exploring the maze again. But people, or you can come clear back here to this exit again and kind of start back over and go back in there. But for some reason, instead, people want to walk over here and undo this little thing, and they just start walking down this way, and they've missed half of the maze, and they start coming out down there. So anyways, the best way to go was just to stand out front of the maze area and just kind of guide each group into the different sections I want them to go through. And when people go up to the exit door, I'd have to keep going through there, and if people came out along the side, I'd just kind of give up on them and come back and latch the rope again and try to keep people from going out that way. So now these little doors are pretty nice in the effect that each room you go through, you don't know what's going to be in there until you open that door and actually go through. But the one problem with this type of door is a lot of people, they get really confused and they can't tell the difference between that and a wall, and they're like, I don't know, where's the door at? Because sometimes these just hang down real flat, kind of like it is, and especially at night, and people don't. They start fiddling around on the walls, and they're like, "Well, we ran into a dead end," and I'm like, "No, there's a door in every room. It's you just keep going." you know. But I thought finding the doors was sort of part of the fun. I didn't think you had to be that absorbent to figure it out, but yeah, sometimes people got lost and thought there was just a dead end in the maze, like you just oh, it's just all walls. You can't go any further. like you just have to turn around. Now, something I really found about building mazes on a really, really cheap, on a budget, basically. Um, Something that I was more interested in doing is having lots and lots of mileage, like lots of rooms, rather than just having a few good rooms and then sort of running out of time and money. So I really focused on distance, which I think is really cool. But something that you can do if you don't have, like a real maze would have, all wood walls, and they would have like all this fancy paint on it, and they might have like cupboards and shelves and dirty dishpans and blood all over the walls and all kinds of different props everywhere. Just tons and tons of clutter, because it's really about sensory overload. These mazes, it's the lights, it's the music, it's the fog, it's all the like intricate decorations everywhere. It's tons and tons of stuff to look at. It's flashing lights. It's disorientation rooms. It's things hanging down from the ceilings. Now, even on a budget, I had like actually four different audio players, and then little things that you hook to a wall and you walk by them and they start playing sounds and stuff. Lots of strobes and lights and dark areas, and a good amount of props. Like each room has a prop, so it's like 30 props or more, and it's a lot of stuff. But since I couldn't afford like tons of stuff to put in each room, something that was really cool was just if you spray paint the walls, you just spray paint all kinds of, even if it's just something stupid, really, like, but at night it kind of looks kind of creepy. But or even like I got this funny bear thing on the wall. It's like a vampire bear, which is really ridiculous. But if you spray paint the walls, it really makes everything seem busy, and it's like that effect of lots and lots of clutter. Because before that, it was just black walls and then one prop with a light on it, and that really wasn't very interesting. So spray paint, very cheap, and it really, really fills out your haunt. Now, this is pretty dark in this room, so and also there's usually a strobe light going in the room at the back. But if you could sort of see, I really focused on lots and lots of stuff that could be hanging down, which really, rooms like this where it's a thin hallway and there's lots of stuff hanging down was kind of like obstacle rooms. I put like spider web in here and things like that, and it kind of made, like you'd have kind of open areas, and then you'd have obstacle rooms and stuff, and it kind of just made the haunt a lot more interesting. And right here, I was like, well, I've got an hour till I open, and people come through right there. But I just started like really quick putting little rooms where people could hide, and little hiding places in here. Because people come through and they'll scare each other, or people just, like kids will start hiding out in the maze and just randomly scaring people for like hours. Which is basically what happened. I ended up with like 5 different scare actors after the first hour that were just in here all night, like scaring people. So, I made all kinds of weird hiding places for people. That's like, there's like this little secret room back there. And people come out and they're probably kind of looking at this guy, and then all of a sudden somebody pops out right there in a costume. And people are just screaming like crazy the whole time. but you know, in a good way. They came out and they were just laughing and laughing. Now, something that people really liked is these floating candles, and I just drilled a hole in the top of the candles and ran a thin black thread through them, and it's enough to make those candles float there. And even in person, like, you'd have to really look to see the string. It looks like they're just floating away. So that's pretty cool. I guess some little girl like fell into the coffin and her mom was laughing at her. Oh well. I was just concerned that she got hurt or something, but she was fine. I don't know what happened. I was outside, I heard it. I asked the mom and she said, "Oh, my daughter fell in the coffin." So, well, as long as she was okay. Now, this right here, like I've got this creepy cloth hanging up, you know, from the dollar store, like put in all these little obstacle things. The more clutter, the better it is. So, but anyways, this guy right here is really creepy. I think so. I just put all this paint on top of him. But for some reason, like right there in the lap, like my cats will just jump up there and sleep. They have no idea what this is. Now, this guy, I don't really know what he's doing up there. I don't really have any good reason for it. I had him on the ground, but then I put him way up in the air and I was like, that looks really weird. I don't know why. But yeah, it's pretty strange. Now he looks super menacing. Now, this guy's really interesting and kind of ridiculous at the same time. Like, something really interesting about this guy is I bought this mask and it comes with this weird cape as well. And the hat's like rubber, it's all part of it. And the bow tie and everything. But I bought that for like $6 at a thrift store. And the weird thing about it, it looks like this old vintage mask. It doesn't look very modern. I don't know if it was like maybe late 70s, early 80s or something. And because of how vintage, and it kind of looks like an antique in a way, not like 100 years, but you know, like an older mask. It just really has this super creepy feel, even though the face, if you look at it, you think it kind of looks ridiculous, but the age sort of thing to it, how old it looks, makes it look really creepy. And so I just made this little body for it. People would come in and it really looked so real, like, you know, it's just some guy standing there in a really ridiculous mask that would just be really creepy because you think any minute that guy's gonna move. He's just too real looking. And then also these little kids were hiding in here against the walls and they look like miniature props and they didn't look real at all. And then all of a sudden, because they have costumes on, they all of a sudden jump at you and you just totally, you would think this guy for sure is gonna jump at you, but then it would be the little kids jumping at you and it would just totally freak you out. You wouldn't expect it. It was really hilarious. Now, this is like the deep freezer room, and I made these styrofoam heads / garbage bags full of newspaper props again with masking tape around them to kind of give them like body-like forms. And but if you could tell, like behind that is I put a cloth in at the last second so that people could hide behind the cloth and maybe jump out. Or when I came through, the kids were like making these like bounce around and stuff like this, and people would start screaming. So it worked out. But see, now we're back behind the cloth in this hidden room back here, and you can just go woo. Now this is the garage studio and kind of what people would see coming through. And you know, again, I got this floating candle and I got these little lit up pumpkin props on the floor. Now this mannequin right here was really cool because like, you know, it stands on this little stand and everything. So basically you can get these mannequins right here for $49 off of eBay. And then I just put some material right here, like over the face, like a veil, and a wig. I ordered off of eBay for like, I think it was like $9, 9 or 10. And then the dress, I think it was like $50 way back. Just kind of a cheaply made, sort of in between costume and actual dress. It's not as nice as the actual Victorian dresses, but it's not like costume quality either. But it's just for like a reenactment dress, and it's like a morning dress. So this is like a morning sort of look for the 1880s. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and be sure to share, like, and subscribe.